Welcome back to Spellbound. I'm BJ and this video is all about those summer reading vibes. Summer is an interesting season because there isn't just one vibe going on, right? So in autumn, we're all about the spook. We're reading thrillers, horror, anything to do with Halloween. And in winter, we're all about the cozy vibes, with a cup of hot cocoa, maybe reaching for cozy books, cozy adventures, or a sweet romance. Spring is a pretty romance-heavy season too, but it's actually also when a lot of people start reaching for the classics to reread. But in summer, we're kind of all over the place. We're reading epic fantasy adventures. The biggest book out right now is Fourth Wing. Holy hype. We're reading thrillers, and Olivia Reads a Latte is like leading the booktube community charge on Summerween, and we love it. We're reading books that take place in the water with pirate and mermaid stories, and we're reaching for those light and fluffy rom-coms to take with us to the beach and getting those classic beach reads. So whatever your vibe, or even if it's a little bit of each, I've got recommendations. And for each category, I have one book that I have personally read and enjoyed, and one from my own summer TBR. So if you have read any of those books and have opinions on them, I would really love to know those down below. And while we're at it, if you haven't already, please like this video or consider subscribing, as it does help this video and others reach the widest audience of viewers like you. I sound like PBS right there, like from viewers like you. Thank you. Fun fact, did you know that I was on an episode of Zoom as a kid? Like the PBS show, Zoom. Come on in, Zoom. Adorable. Thrillers. For those of us in the mood for a little spook or suspense, here are a few recommended summer thrillers. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. So I had heard a lot about Grady Hendrix before picking up this book, and apparently all of his books, which are all somewhat spooky and suspenseful in nature, I think, all kind of examine different relationship dynamics. And this book focuses a lot on a best friendship between two teenage girls. So this book is about our protagonist Abby and her very best friend Gretchen. They've been best friends since 5th grade, and when they're 16, Abby sort of watches Gretchen descend into a full-on demonic possession after a bad LSD trip in the woods. This book has a lot of layers to it, and I appreciated every single layer. The aesthetics. The book takes place in the 80s. I personally am obsessed with the 80s. I love all the pop culture references. It's done on purpose. One of the vibes and one of the tones of this book is that it is campy. So it is campy 80s pop culture. I'm here for it. The second thing is that it takes place in the different neighborhoods and the different suburbs of Charleston, South Carolina, which is one of my several different hometowns, and the one that I claim the most. So that was also fun to read about. But there are also several other layers to this campy horror comedy novel that deal with, in an absurdist way, deal with religious trauma, religious abuse, budding sexuality, and purity culture as they intersect with the patterns of sexual assault and sexual assault victims in teenagers. So this book does have some pretty heavy subtext, but it is woven so carefully with the campy vibe and campy dialogue and very absurdist humor and the very stylized 80s pop culture that the book reading experience does not feel heavy. So in that way, you're gonna get the summer spook, you're gonna get all of those vibes, but it's not going to be a necessarily very triggering or emotional journey. The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. The Ghost Tree is a coming-of-age story about Lauren and her very creepy small hometown of Smith's Hollow. When the bodies of two teenage girls are found torn apart in the woods, the police can't really seem or be bothered to try to find the killer. And this especially bothers Lauren, whose own father was killed the year before and had his heart torn away from his chest. So when Lauren herself starts having these terrifying visions of the girls being dragged away through the woods, Lauren knows that she needs to do whatever she can to help. And normally she would seek out the advice or help of her very best friend Miranda, but lately Miranda seems to be totally focused on boys and on dating instead of her childhood best friend Lauren. So this horror novel has some similar vibes, but this one is not humorous. There is no camp, there's no funny. It is all horror, at times suspense, but also a lot of very gruesome moments as well. Especially as Lauren discovers that the heart of her seemingly charming small hometown might be rotten at its very core. So once again, the tone of this is different from My Best Friend's Exorcism. The tone of this is horror. It's creepy, it's gruesome, it's nasty, and it is suspenseful. But the themes are still pretty similar. It is still about budding sexuality. It is still about personal responsibility and accountability. And it is about a teenage girl of what it is like when she sees her own best friend start to pull away and grow up. So the themes are the same, but Christina Henry, completely different vibe. Christina Henry, I've always said her books are like a gut punch. They grab you by the throat at the beginning and don't let you go till the end. And this book is no exception. It's creepy, it's suspenseful, and for most of Christina Henry's books, I read them all in one sitting because, like, I simply couldn't not do that. Once you start, you have to finish. And on my summer thriller TBR is Summer Suns by Lee Mandelo. This book is blurbed as a, quote, sweltering queer Southern Gothic that crosses Appalachian street racing with academic intrigue, all haunted by a hungry ghost. Say less. This book follows Andrew 6 months after his best friend, possibly boyfriend lover situation, has just left him to start attending Vanderbilt. Days before Andrew is supposed to join Eddie at the school, Eddie dies of an apparent suicide. As Andrew searches for clues around Eddie's strange death, he starts to uncover some of Eddie's more haunting secrets, like around a gruesome family history, a ruthless academic career, and a pattern of drug abuse. All of this while a phantom lingers in the corner, ready to devour him. Beach read romance. Sometimes we just want to reach for something light and fluffy while we bury our toes in the warm sand, and for that, I've got you covered. My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This book is a super fun murder mystery rom-com by the fabulous Tessa Bailey. What was supposed to be a really relaxing vacation on Cape Cod turns gruesome when Taylor discovers a dead body in her Airbnb. The police are quick to arrest the wrong suspect, but Taylor's curiosity and her enthusiasm for true crime podcasts get the better of her, and she launches into her own investigation. Enter Miles, a cynical bounty hunter who's been hired by the victim's family to find the killer, and you have everything you need for a grumpy sunshine forced proximity friends with benefits spicy summer rom-com. This book is so much fun, and it is very spicy. When a SCOT Ties the Knot by Tessa Dare. So this book is so ridiculous and I love it so much. This book follows Madeline Gracechurch right as she's about to come of age and enter into London society. And to avoid the entirety of the dating rituals and expectations of a woman her age, she makes up a lover. He's a Scotsman, he's conveniently away at war, and his name's Captain Mackenzie. It's tragic and romantic and all a ruse, but it sort of gets her out of the limelight and she doesn't have to participate. But Madeline, being weird and eccentric, actually writes all of this down in a letter to the fake Captain Mackenzie. She writes out what she's doing and why and mails it off. And she actually keeps up this one-sided pen palship for like 10 years. She writes to Captain Mackenzie all about her hopes and dreams of eventually becoming an insect illustrator for encyclopedias. She writes to them about how great her new castle is because eventually, after a 10-year courtship, she did eventually tell her parents that she and this fictitious captain were engaged to be married, and they gifted her an early wedding gift of like a castle. So she's just like living it up, her best single life, and it's great. But eventually, it's been going on 10 years. She's getting tired of the ruse. She now has like nieces and nephews that she has to set a good example for. So she realizes that she has to end things. So being who she is, she writes all this down again in a letter to Captain Mackenzie, and she's like, hey, this has been a really good time. This has really helped me out, but this is an old lie and I'm getting tired of telling it, so I've got to kill you off. Sorry. No hard feelings, but bye. Anyway, like 6 months later, Madeline gets a knock at the door, and it's this huge Scotsman, and he's pissed, and he's like, sup, gorgeous. I am the real Captain Mackenzie. I've received all of your letters, and by the looks of things, if we're betrothed, then this is my castle too, and I'm moving in. Also, why did you kill me? This level of absurdity continues through the entire thing, and he kind of holds over her head that he and all of his war buddies have to move into her giant castle or he'll expose her to her family and embarrass everyone in the family. So like I said, the whole thing's super absurd. It has moments of even more absurdity than that. Kept me laughing the whole time through. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's not a parody. It's just one of those classic beach read summer romances, and I recommend it. Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. Am I cheating with this one? Probably, because this book doesn't technically come out till October, which is after summertime, obviously. But it's still on my highly anticipated releases TBR. This book is the third installment behind Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which is sapphic rom-com perfection, and Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. And this one, as you can imagine, follows Iris Kelly, which is like the third of their friend group. And she doesn't date. She's not interested in pursuing romance of any kind outside of a few hookups or one-night stands. But as a successful romance author, Iris is running out of ideas and quickly approaching a deadline. Looking for some inspiration, Iris meets a gorgeous stranger named Stefania at a bar and immediately takes the woman home, and they have an incredible one-night affair that Iris cannot stop thinking about. So to get her mind off things, Iris auditions for the local production of Much Ado About Nothing, where she runs into Stevie, the true name for Stefania, who asks her to please play along that they are dating. So this fake dating, Shakespearean-inspired sapphic rom-com sounds like the perfect book to read on the beach. We'll just have to wait until October to do it. Emotional entanglements. Sometimes we just want to be in our feels. So here are a few recommended reads that may break your heart and then may heal you before summer's end. One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. This book follows 30-year-old Katie, whose mother and best friend passes away before they can take their mother-daughter trip to the Amalfi Coast. For Katie's whole life, her mother Carol has told her about how important and pivotal her time in this small Italian community was to her before she moved back to the States and had a family. So when Katie's mother is diagnosed with a terminal illness, she quickly makes the plans to spend 2 weeks in Italy, but her mother passes away before they can. So a grieving Katie just decides to kind of leave her husband behind and just like peace out, and she goes and spends the time in Italy by herself. But when she arrives, she enters somewhat of a time warp, and she actually runs into a 30-year-old Carol in the lobby of her hotel. So she spends the entire trip with her mom, and the two form a very unique friendship, and they sort of experience Italy together. Katie's grieving heart is somewhat healed by this new relationship until she discovers some hidden truths that her mother never bothered to share with her before. This book is sad and ethereal and healing and romantic. I loved this book for a couple of reasons, not just the tone and the writing, which were superb, but personally I enjoyed it for a couple of reasons. The first of which is that the main character actually really reminds me of my own mom and her relationship with her mom, which is why I picked it up in the first place. But also, the entire book takes place in the Amalfi Coast, which is right next to where I lived for like 4 years when I was younger. I've lived everywhere. So it was really cool to read about because it felt really, really familiar and yet very new all at once. This book is definitely a great pick if you want to be in your feels this summer. Lost Lake by Sarah Addison Allen. This is another book that I talk about a lot because I talk about Sarah Addison Allen a lot. She writes these charming and romantic books with twinges of magical realism, all set in small towns across the South. This book follows Kate as she sort of wakes up from this slumber that she's been in for the past year ever since her husband George has passed away, and decides to take her young daughter somewhere else, somewhere away. And so they go to a small town in Georgia, specifically to Lost Lake, owned and operated by her very odd Aunt Ebby. Because Lost Lake is where Kate remembers having one of the most magical summers of her childhood, and she wants to give that to her young daughter. So Kate returns and confronts some of the ghosts and other curious oddities of Lost Lake, including a very handsome handyman who is one of her childhood friends now all grown up. So this book is not very tragic, but it does have tragedy in the periphery, sort of like the haze around a very magical dream. That's what this book feels like. It is very cute and a little whimsical, and it very much focuses on what it looks like to find your own life after a death. The Throwback List by Lily Anderson. This is one that's been on my own TBR, and I really want to pick it up this summer. This one follows 3 best friends from high school who have all separated after graduation and gone down different paths. So there's Autumn, the aspiring actress turned drama teacher, Bianca, the former valedictorian and prom queen who now struggles with her new marriage, caring for her aging grandmother, and running a family business, and Jo, an A-lister in Silicon Valley who was on track to complete every single one of her goals before the age of 30, until she got fired and is forced to move back home. At home, Jo discovers an old bucket list that the 3 best friends made when they were in high school, so with each other's support, they learn how to navigate a new old relationship and how to support each other as they each follow their own unique dreams that may actually take them on different paths than they expected. This book looks like it will be cute either way, but I can't tell if the tone is leading towards very lighthearted or if it could have some more serious and emotional tones and undertones, which is what I'm considering might be the case. But either way, I'm really looking forward to finding out. Mermaid lore. Is there really a better time to read about mermaids? I mean, to be fair, mermaid time is all the time, but mermaid books in the summer just hit different. The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea by Maggie Tokuda-Hall. So I just read this book recently and it was so good. And despite the title, this book is actually about pirates, which is dope. This is one of those books that I could go on a tangent talking about any one aspect of the book, from the incredible writing to the super cool non-binary characters to the very strong undertones of colonization. So, to avoid tangents, I'm just going to read the blurb from Google Books. The pirate Florian, born Flora, has always done whatever it takes to survive, including sailing under a false flag on the Dove as a marauder, thief, and worse. Lady Evelyn Hasagawa, a high-born imperial daughter, is on board as well, accompanied by her own casket. But Evelyn's one-way voyage to an arranged marriage is interrupted when the captain and crew show their true colors and enslave their wealthy passengers. Both Florian and Evelyn have lived their lives by the rules and whims of others, but when they fall in love, they decide to take fate into their own hands, no matter the cost. Does that not just make you want to go out and read it immediately? It's so good. These blurbs don't even do it justice. It's so good. It's so nuanced. It's so densely packed with incredible character studies, incredible plot, and incredible conspiracy. It's really good. It's really suspenseful, and it has a really great slow burn romance. Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. I just read this one recently and it was so good. Drawing from diverse African mythology, Bowen tells the story of Simi, a Mami Wata who travels across the water and helps ferry the souls of those who die at sea after being stolen from their homeland at the very beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. One day, Simi reaches a boy who was just thrown overboard and she discovers that he's actually still alive. Not willing to let another life be lost, Simi saves the boy, but thereby violating her sworn duty as a Mami Wata. So Simi sets off on a quest to not only return the boy to his homeland, but also in search of a fabled magical object, which will grant Simi the power to petition the Supreme Creator for not only forgiveness for her mistake, but for the future of her kind as a Mami Wata, who are all now at risk because of her mistake. The only problem is a corrupt god knows about the magical object, and he is also on the hunt for it for his own dark purposes. This book was so good. It was obviously heavy and sad in places because the mythology is blended with actual history, and there's nothing but sadness and pain and emotional rot when it comes to the ruthlessness of the slave trade. But it was also magical and ethereal in other places, where the author weaved together mythological creatures and charming folklore and very cool rich details, like a living map that was braided into Simi's hair so that she would know which way to go. Gorgeous writing, beautiful story, and I can't wait to continue the adventure with the sequel, Soul of the Deep. A Chorus Rises by Bethany C. Morrow. This is on My Mermaid TBR, and this is the sequel to A Song Below Water, which I read earlier this year and loved. The first book follows two sisters, Tavia and Effie. So Tavia is a siren in a world where it is all but illegal to be one, mostly because only black women can be sirens. So it's illegal to use your siren call ever. It's illegal to get together in groups or bands of sirens, and most sirens are in hiding or being protected by underground groups of citizens who have sworn to protect their identity. And Effie is very passionate about playing a mermaid at the Ren Fair. She takes her role and her character that she has been perfecting over the last several years very seriously when she makes an interesting discovery about herself. Through all of this, a siren murder trial rocks the nation, and Tavia lets loose her siren call at the worst possible moment and places a target on both of their backs. In this book, the sequel follows them after a very tense and dangerous police riot at the end of the first book. Quite obviously an allegory for the lived experience of black women in America, this book really highlights the importance of voice, action, community, and responsibility. And I cannot wait to read the sequel. Those are the summer vibes we've got today. Thrillers, beach reads, emotional entanglements, and mermaid lore. But I would love to know what your summer vibe is and what you're reading to match it. And then if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you loved it, hit subscribe, and of course there's always Instagram. Take care, happy summer, and happy reading.